Sometimes we learn big lessons from small things. Have you ever received a message that completely changed your life? Not because it brought money, not because it promised success, but because it forced you to face a past you had buried for years. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't wealth, it's a lesson. This is the story of four friends: Ahmed, Hamza, Zaid, and Fahad. Four boys, one teacher, one promise, one secret hidden for 15 years. Years passed, dreams changed, success arrived, friendship disappeared, and silence slowly replaced memories. Ahmed stood quietly beside the glass wall of his office. Another important meeting was waiting. Then his phone rang. Unknown number, he almost ignored it. But something made him answer. Mr. Abdul Rahman passed away 3 days ago. The voice on the phone became distant. Everything around Ahmed suddenly fell silent. His teacher was gone. Across the city, Hamza had just finished another successful television broadcast. Applause filled the studio. Then his phone rang. Seconds later, the smile disappeared from his face. On the other side of the city, the sound of metal echoed through a small mechanic workshop. Zed wiped the grease from his hands as his phone rang. He answered without expecting anything unusual, but within seconds his world became silent. He slowly looked toward the sky. Indeed, we belong to God, and to Him we shall return. The next morning, three men stood outside an old law office. 15 years had changed everything: their faces, their lives, their dreams, but not the memories they carried inside. Advocate Umar Farooq welcomed them inside. The office was quiet. Old books lined the shelves. Legal files covered the desk, but none of them noticed those things. Their eyes were fixed on one old wooden box. The lawyer noticed. I knew this would catch your attention. Ahmed asked, "What's inside the box?" The lawyer answered, "I don't know what's inside the box. The instructions were very clear. It can only be opened when the right time comes." The lawyer opened his briefcase. Three white envelopes, three handwritten names: Ahmed, Hamza, Zaid. Your teacher left these for you, but you must open them alone. Ahmed looked at the envelope. It felt heavier than paper, as if it carried 15 years of unanswered questions. None of them knew that opening those letters would change their lives forever. Tomorrow, each man will open his letter. That night, none of the three men slept peacefully. The envelopes remained unopened. Sitting silently, waiting, sometimes the fear of knowing the truth is greater than the truth itself. Before sunrise, Ahmed finally gathered the courage. He carefully opened the envelope. Inside, there was only one folded sheet. At the top, he recognized the familiar handwriting immediately. His teacher Abdul Rahman. The letter contained only a few words. Find the person whom you hurt the most. Ask for forgiveness. Only then will you understand the meaning of my final lesson. Ahmed's hands began to shake. He knew exactly who his teacher was talking about. Suddenly, memories flooded back. A school corridor, angry voices, a misunderstanding, one mistake, and a friendship that never recovered. At the same moment, Hamza unfolded his own letter. It contained only one question. If telling the truth cost you your reputation, would you still tell it? Hamza stared at the page. He remembered that day he chose silence instead of honesty. Miles away, Zed sat quietly in his small workshop office. He unfolded the final letter. There was only one sentence. True service begins when no one is watching. Zed read the words again and again. He smiled sadly. His teacher still knew him better than anyone else. 3 letters, 3 different challenges. One had to seek forgiveness, one had to choose truth, one had to prove kindness through action. None of them understood it yet, but every step they took was leading them toward the same destination. While searching through an old storage box, Ahmed found something unexpected: an old glass photograph. 4 smiling boys standing beside their beloved teacher. He looked at Fahad's face and whispered, I should never have left you alone. At the same time, Advocate Umar Farooq quietly closed the teacher's final will. He smiled gently. Your plan is working, he whispered. They're finally beginning to understand. 3 days later, their phones rang again. This time, it wasn't unexpected. It was Advocate Umar Farooq. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Come back to my office. Ahmed asked quietly, Is the test over? The lawyer replied, No. The real test is about to begin. The next morning, 3 old friends would walk through the same door. Once again, but this time someone else was already waiting inside. Advocate Umar Farooq, standing beside his desk, calmly telling Ahmed, Hamza, and Zad that before opening the box, they must meet one person they have avoided for 15 years. Ahmed lowered his head in guilt as painful school memories returned. Flashback of teenage Fahad standing alone in an empty school corridor after a misunderstanding, looking hurt but remaining calm. Hamza sitting silently inside the lawyer's office, realizing his own past mistake. Dad looking at the old classroom visible through a window in his memories, remembering the past. The office door slowly opening while bright and natural light enters from the hallway. Fahad entering the office with calm smile, peaceful face. Ahmed with tears in his eyes after seeing Fahad for the first time in 15 years. Fahad gently smiling with forgiving eyes while standing calmly in front of his 3 friends. The 4 friends standing silently together inside the lawyer's office after 15 years apart. Nobody knew what to say. Ahmed finally gathered the courage. I'm sorry. His voice trembled. I should have trusted you. I should have stood beside you. Instead, I walked away. Fahad smiled softly. Ahmed, I forgave you many years ago. I was only waiting for you to forgive yourself. For the first time in 15 years, hope returned to the room. Advocate Umar Farooq quietly opened the teacher's will. He read one final sentence, then looked at the four friends. Your teacher wrote, the wooden box can only be opened after all four hearts become one again. The lawyer slowly walked toward the cabinet. He unlocked a small cupboard. Inside, the mysterious wooden box was waiting. The lawyer gently placed the wooden box on the desk. He held the old key in his hand. It can wait a few more minutes. And carefully removed one final sealed envelope. Only four words were written, open together, never alone. My dear students, if you are hearing these words, then Allah has answered my final prayer. You are together again. Ahmed, never be afraid to admit your mistakes. Hamza, never let silence spot a lie. Zad, keep serving people even when no one notices. Fahad, never stop forgiving. Fahad turned to the final paragraph. The wooden box is not your inheritance. You are my inheritance. No one spoke. The room was filled with tears, but also peace. 15 years of pain had finally come to an end. Advocate Umar Farooq opened the wooden box. There was no gold, no money, no treasure, only an old class photograph. My greatest treasure was never inside this box. It was always my students. The room remained silent. The real treasure had already been found. It wasn't inside the box, it was inside their hearts. Before leaving, Advocate Umar Farooq told them to stay together, help people, and never let pride destroy your friendship again. A few weeks later, the four friends returned to their old school, but the memories were just as alive. They planted a young tree in memory of Abdul Rahman, who was a good teacher and changed lives forever. After excusing Fahad, Ahmed started living peacefully, and Hamza told his past truth in front of his boss. And Zad established an auto workshop where he taught work to needy boys for free. From this story, we learned sometimes the greatest inheritance is not money, it is wisdom, it is forgiveness, it is friendship, and it is faith. Because the people who truly change our lives never really leave us, they continue living through the lessons they leave behind.